The morning of April 17, 2018 began like any other for the passengers and crew of Southwest Airlines Flight 1380. The Boeing 737-700, a workhorse of the airline industry, stood ready on the tarmac at New York's LaGuardia Airport, its engines silent but poised to roar to life. The aircraft, registered as N772SW, had been meticulously inspected and prepared for its journey to Dallas Love Field in Texas. For the 144 passengers and 5 crew members on board, this was just another routine flight, one of thousands that crisscross the skies of the United States every day. The sun was rising, casting a golden hue over the airport, and the weather was clear, a perfect day for flying. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere was calm and orderly. Passengers settled into their seats, stowing carry-on luggage in the overhead bins and fastening their seatbelts. Flight attendants moved gracefully through the aisles, offering warm smiles and assisting with last-minute requests. The hum of conversation filled the air, a mix of excited chatter and the occasional laugh. Some passengers were traveling for business, their laptops already open, while others were heading home or embarking on vacations. For a brief moment, the world outside the aircraft seemed distant, replaced by the familiar routines of air travel. In the cockpit, Captain Tammie Jo Shults and First Officer Darren Ellisor were completing their pre-flight checks. Shults, a former U.S. Navy pilot, was one of the first female fighter pilots to serve in the military, and her experience was evident in her calm, methodical demeanor. Ellisor, though less seasoned, was equally focused, his eyes scanning the instrument panel as they prepared for departure. The two pilots exchanged a few words, their voices steady and professional, as they reviewed the flight plan and weather conditions. Everything appeared normal, and the aircraft was cleared for takeoff. At 10:43 a.m., the engines of Flight 1380 roared to life, their powerful thrust propelling the aircraft down the runway. The sensation of acceleration pressed passengers into their seats as the plane lifted smoothly into the sky. Within minutes, the Boeing 737 reached its cruising altitude of 32,000 feet, and the seatbelt sign was turned off. The flight attendants began their service, offering drinks and snacks to the passengers. Outside the windows, the sky was a brilliant blue, dotted with scattered clouds that seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. The aircraft's engines droned steadily, a reassuring sound that signaled all was well. For the next 20 minutes, the flight proceeded without incident. Passengers relaxed, some dozing off, others engrossed in books or movies. The cabin was a picture of tranquility, a testament to the reliability of modern air travel. But beneath the surface, unseen and unheard, forces were at work that would soon shatter this calm. The left engine, a CFM56-7B turbofan, had been operating flawlessly for thousands of hours, but on this day, it would fail catastrophically. At approximately 11:06 a.m., as the aircraft passed over Pennsylvania, a loud explosion rocked the plane. The sound was deafening, a sudden violent noise that reverberated through the cabin. Passengers instinctively turned their heads, their eyes wide with alarm. The source of the explosion was immediately apparent. The left engine had disintegrated, sending shrapnel flying in all directions. One piece of debris struck the fuselage, shattering a window and causing rapid decompression. The cabin was filled with a deafening roar as air rushed out of the breach, creating a vortex of wind and debris. In an instant, the peaceful atmosphere was replaced by chaos. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling, and passengers scrambled to put them on. The force of the decompression was so powerful that it partially sucked a woman out of the broken window. Fellow passengers grabbed her, struggling to pull her back inside as the wind whipped around them. The cabin temperature plummeted and the noise was overwhelming, making it difficult to hear or think. Flight attendants, trained for such emergencies, moved quickly to assist passengers and maintain order. their voices steady despite the pandemonium. In the cockpit, Shults and Ellison were confronted with a barrage of warning lights and alarms. The aircraft shuddered violently as the left engine failed and the controls became sluggish. Shults, drawing on her years of experience, immediately took command. She reduced thrust on the remaining engine to stabilize the plane and began assessing the damage. The loss of an engine at cruising altitude was a serious emergency, but the situation was compounded by the breach in the fuselage. Shults knew that they needed to descend quickly to a lower altitude, where the air was thicker and the pressure difference less severe. As Shults and Ellison worked to regain control of the aircraft, air traffic controllers in Philadelphia were alerted to the emergency. The controllers, trained to handle such situations, provided clear and concise instructions, guiding the plane toward Philadelphia International Airport. Shults acknowledged their instructions, her voice calm and focused. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was no panic in the cockpit, only a determined effort to bring the aircraft and its passengers safely to the ground. The descent was rapid but controlled, the aircraft losing altitude at a rate that balanced the need for speed with the safety of the passengers. Outside, the landscape of Pennsylvania rushed by, a blur of green and brown, as the plane descended through the clouds. Inside the cabin, the initial shock had given way to a tense silence, broken only by the sound of the remaining engine and the occasional instruction from the flight attendants. Passengers clung to their seats, their faces pale but resolute as they braced for what was to come. By the time the aircraft reached 10,000 feet, the situation had stabilized. The cabin pressure had equalized, and the oxygen masks were no longer necessary, though many passengers kept them on as a precaution. Shults and Ellison continued to work in unison, their movements precise and deliberate. The runway at Philadelphia International Airport was now in sight, a strip of asphalt that represented safety and survival. As the aircraft lined up for its final approach, the tension in the cabin was palpable. Every passenger knew that the next few minutes would determine their fate. The landing gear descended with a mechanical whir, and the flaps extended, slowing the aircraft as it approached. The runway, Shults guided the plane with a steady hand, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The wheels touched down with a jolt, and the engines roared as the thrust reversers deployed, slowing the aircraft to a halt. As the plane came to a stop on the runway, a collective sigh of relief swept through the cabin. The ordeal was over, and against all odds, everyone on board had survived. Emergency vehicles surrounded the aircraft within moments, their lights flashing and sirens blaring. Paramedics and firefighters rushed to assist the passengers, many of whom were shaken but unharmed. The woman who had been partially sucked out of the window was quickly transported to a nearby hospital, her condition critical but stable. Shults and Ellison remained in the cockpit, completing their post-flight checks and coordinating with ground personnel. Their actions had saved lives, and though the ordeal was far from over, they had done their jobs with skill and composure. As the passengers disembarked, many paused to thank the crew, their gratitude evident in their tearful expressions. The events of Flight 1380 would soon make headlines around the world, a stark reminder of the dangers that can arise even in the most routine of flights. But for those on board, the day would be remembered not just for the terror they had experienced, but for the courage and professionalism that had brought them safely to the ground. The calm before the storm had given way to chaos, but through it all, the human spirit had prevailed. The immediate aftermath of Southwest Airlines Flight 1380's emergency landing in Philadelphia was a scene of controlled chaos. Emergency responders swarmed the aircraft, their flashing lights casting an eerie glow over the tarmac. Passengers, many still in shock, were ushered off the plane and into the terminal, where medical personnel awaited to assess their condition. Some walked unaided.
There,
faces pale but composed, while others were carried on stretchers, their injuries requiring immediate attention. The woman who had been partially sucked out of the window, Jennifer Reardon, was rushed to Penn Presbyterian Medical Center, where a team of trauma specialists worked tirelessly to stabilize her. The gravity of the situation was evident in the somber expressions of the first responders, who moved with urgency, but also with a sense of grim determination. Inside the terminal, the atmosphere was a mix of relief and disbelief. Passengers hugged one another, their emotions raw and unfiltered. Some wept openly, their tears a release of the fear they had suppressed during the ordeal. Others sat in stunned silence, their minds replaying the events of the past hour. Flight. Attendants, though visibly shaken, continued to assist passengers, offering blankets, water, and words of comfort. Their training had prepared them for emergencies, but nothing could fully prepare them for the emotional toll of such a traumatic event. The crew's professionalism and composure, however, remained unwavering, a testament to their dedication and resilience. As the passengers were cared for, attention turned to the aircraft itself. The Boeing 737-700, now silent and still, bore the scars of its harrowing journey. The left engine was a mangled mess, its casing torn apart and its internal components exposed. The fuselage, just behind the wing, had a gaping hole where the window had been blown out. Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, arrived on the scene, their presence a reminder that the incident was far from over. Their task was to determine what had caused the engine failure and how a routine flight had turned into a life-threatening emergency. The NTSB team began their work methodically, documenting the scene and collecting evidence. The engine in particular was the focus of their attention. Initial observations suggested that a fan blade had broken off, causing a cascade of failures that led to the engine's disintegration. The force of the explosion had sent shrapnel, flying, one piece of which struck the fuselage and shattered the window. This theory was supported by the accounts of passengers and crew who had heard a loud bang followed by the sound of rushing air. The investigators also examined the aircraft's maintenance records, looking for any signs of neglect or oversight that might have contributed to the failure. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to the actions of the flight crew, particularly Captain Tammie Jo Shults. Her handling of the emergency had been nothing short of extraordinary, and her calm demeanor under pressure had undoubtedly saved lives. Shults, a former Navy pilot, had drawn on her extensive experience to navigate the crippled aircraft to safety. Her ability to remain focused and composed in the face of such adversity was a testament to her skill and training. First Officer Darren Elliser, though less experienced, had also played a crucial role, assisting Shults and ensuring that the aircraft remained stable during the descent. The NTSB investigators interviewed Shults and Elliser, as well as the flight attendants and passengers, to piece together a timeline of events. Their accounts painted a vivid picture of the chaos that had unfolded in the cabin, but also highlighted the crew's professionalism and the passengers' resilience. The investigators also reviewed the aircraft's black box, which contained recordings of the cockpit conversations and flight data. These recordings provided valuable insights into the crew's decision-making process and the aircraft's performance during the emergency. As the investigation continued, the media descended on Philadelphia, their cameras and microphones capturing every detail of the story. The incident made headlines around the world, with news outlets focusing on the heroism of the crew and the miraculous survival of the passengers. Captain Shults, in particular, was hailed as a hero, her name and face splashed across newspapers and television screens. Her background as one of the first female fighter pilots in the U.S. Navy added an extra layer of intrigue to the story, and she was celebrated not just for her actions on flight, Boeing, the manufacturer of the 737-700, also faced scrutiny in the wake of the incident. While the company had long been a leader in aviation innovation, the engine failure on Flight 1380 highlighted potential vulnerabilities in its design. In response, Boeing worked closely with engine manufacturer CFM International to develop stronger, more durable fan blades and to improve the overall resilience of their engines. The company also revisited the design of the aircraft's fuselage, exploring ways to reinforce windows and surrounding structures to better withstand the impact of engine debris. These changes, though incremental, represented a commitment to learning from tragedy and ensuring that future flights would be safer. For Southwest Airlines, the incident was a pivotal moment in its history. The airline, known for its low-cost, high-efficiency model, had built a reputation for reliability and customer service. Flight 1380 tested that reputation, but the airline's response demonstrated its commitment to its passengers and crew. Southwest grounded dozens of 737-700s for inspections, a move that was costly but necessary. The airline also implemented new training programs for its pilots and flight attendants, emphasizing emergency preparedness and crisis management. Perhaps most importantly, Southwest took steps to support the passengers and crew of Flight 1380, offering counseling services and financial assistance to those affected by the incident. The airline's handling of the crisis earned it respect and admiration, even as it grappled with the sobering reality of what had occurred. Captain Tammie Jo Shults, whose calm and decisive actions had saved countless lives, became a symbol of heroism and professionalism. Her background as one of the first female fighter pilots in the U.S. Navy added a layer of inspiration to her story, and she was celebrated not just for her actions on Flight 1380, but for her trailblazing career. Shults, however, remained humble, deflecting praise and emphasizing the collective effort of the crew and the importance of training. In interviews, she spoke about the importance of staying calm under pressure and trusting one's instincts. Her story resonated far beyond the aviation community, inspiring countless individuals, particularly women, to pursue careers in fields traditionally dominated by men. For the passengers of Flight 1380, the incident was a life-altering experience. Many struggled with the psychological aftermath, grappling with anxiety, nightmares, and a heightened awareness of their own mortality. Some sought therapy to process their trauma, while others found solace in connecting with fellow passengers, forming a bond forged in the crucible of shared adversity. Jennifer Reardon, the only fatality of the incident, remained a poignant reminder of the fragility of life. Her family established a foundation in her honor, dedicated to promoting kindness, community service, and aviation safety. The foundation's work, which included scholarships and outreach programs, ensured that Reardon's legacy would live on, turning tragedy into a force for good. The broader public, too, was deeply affected by the story of Flight 1380. The incident captured the world's attention, not just because of its dramatic nature, but because it underscored the inherent risks of air travel. For many, the thought of flying became tinged with anxiety, a reminder that even the most routine activities could carry unforeseen dangers. Yet the story also inspired a sense of awe and gratitude for the skill and dedication of those who work in aviation. The heroism of the crew, the resilience of the passengers, and the swift response of emergency personnel served as a testament to the strength of the human spirit. In the years that followed, Flight 1380 became a case study in aviation. Safety, taught in training programs and discussed in industry conferences. The incident was a reminder that safety is not a static achievement, but an ongoing process, requiring constant vigilance and a willingness to learn from mistakes. It also highlighted the importance of teamwork and communication, both in the cockpit and on the ground. The successful outcome of the emergency, a testament to the skill of the crew and the robustness of the aircraft, was a reminder that even in the face of catastrophic failure, there is hope. As time passed, the physical scars of Flight 1380 began to fade. The aircraft itself was eventually repaired and returned to service, a testament to the resilience of both machine and human ingenuity. The passengers and crew moved forward with their lives, forever changed by the experience but determined to make the most of the time they had been given. And the aviation industry, though shaken by the incident, emerged stronger and more committed than ever to ensuring the safety of those who take to the skies. The legacy of Flight 1380 is one of courage, resilience, and the enduring pursuit of safety. It is a story that reminds us of the fragility of life, the importance of preparedness, and the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting challenges. And though the events of that day will never be forgotten, they serve as a testament to the strength and determination of those who refuse to be defined by tragedy, but instead choose to rise above it. The story of Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 did not end with the emergency landing in Philadelphia or the subsequent investigation. Its impact rippled outward, touching countless lives and reshaping the aviation industry in ways both subtle and profound. In the months and years that followed, the incident became a catalyst for change, inspiring new technologies, policies, and cultural shifts that would leave a lasting imprint on the world of aviation and beyond. This scene explores the broader consequences of Flight 1380, tracing its influence on safety protocols, public perception, and the lives of those who were directly and indirectly affected. One of the most immediate and tangible outcomes of the incident was the overhaul of engine, inspection and maintenance practices across the aviation industry. The NTSB's findings had revealed that the engine failure on Flight 1380 was caused by a fractured fan blade due to metal fatigue, a flaw that had gone undetected during routine inspections. In response, the FAA issued an emergency airworthiness directive mandating more frequent and thorough inspections of CFM56 engines, particularly focusing on fan blades. Airlines around the world scrambled to comply, grounding aircraft and conducting ultrasonic inspections to identify any signs of fatigue or cracking. The directive was a wake-up call, underscoring the importance of proactive maintenance and the need for more advanced diagnostic tools. The incident also spurred innovation in engine design and materials. CFM International, the manufacturer of the CFM56 engine, embarked on a mission to develop stronger, more durable fan blades that could withstand the stresses of prolonged use. Engineers experimented with new alloys and manufacturing techniques, ultimately creating blades that were more resistant to fatigue and less prone to catastrophic failure. These advancements were not limited to the CFM56 engine. They influenced the design of next-generation engines, such as the LEAP engine, used in newer aircraft like the Boeing 737 MAX. The lessons learned from Flight 1380 became a cornerstone of modern engine design, ensuring that future aircraft would be safer and more reliable. Beyond the technical aspects, Flight 1380 also had a profound impact on the culture of safety within the aviation industry. The incident served as a stark reminder that even the most routine flights could be fraught with danger, and that complacency was the enemy of safety. Airlines and regulatory agencies redoubled their efforts to promote a culture of vigilance and accountability, emphasizing the importance of reporting potential issues and addressing them before they could escalate into emergencies. Training programs for pilots and flight attendants were updated to include more comprehensive scenarios involving engine failures and rapid decompression, ensuring that crews would be better prepared to handle such situations in the future. For the passengers and crew of Flight 1380, the incident was a life-altering experience that left an indelible mark on their lives. Many of the passengers struggled with the psychological aftermath, grappling with anxiety, post-traumatic stress, and a heightened awareness of their own mortality. Some sought therapy to process their trauma, while others found solace in connecting with fellow passengers, forming a bond forged in the crucible of shared adversity. The crew, too, faced their own challenges, balancing the pride of having successfully navigated a life-threatening emergency with the emotional toll of the experience. Captain Tammie Jo Shults, in particular, became a symbol of heroism and resilience, her actions on that day inspiring countless individuals around the world. The incident also had a profound impact on the public's perception of air travel. For many, the story of Flight 1380 was a reminder of the inherent risks of flying, shattering the illusion of invincibility that modern aviation often projects. Passengers became more aware of the safety features of aircraft, from oxygen masks to emergency exits, and many took the time to review safety instructions before takeoff. Airlines, in turn, responded by enhancing their communication with passengers, providing more detailed safety briefings and emphasizing the importance of paying attention to them. The incident also sparked a broader conversation about the balance between efficiency and safety in the aviation industry, prompting airlines to reevaluate their priorities and ensure that safety was never compromised in the pursuit of profit. In the realm of public policy, Flight 1380 served as a catalyst for change, prompting lawmakers to take a closer look at aviation safety regulations. Congressional hearings were held to examine the incident and its implications, with testimony from industry experts, regulators, and survivors. These hearings led to the introduction of new legislation aimed at strengthening oversight of the aviation industry and ensuring that safety remained a top priority. The incident also highlighted the importance of funding for the NTSB and other regulatory agencies, which play a critical role in investigating accidents and making recommendations to prevent future tragedies. The legacy of Flight 1380 extended beyond the aviation industry, touching the lives of individuals and communities in unexpected ways. Jennifer Riordan, the only fatality of the incident, became a symbol of the human cost of such tragedies. Her family established the Jennifer Riordan Memorial Foundation, dedicated to promoting kindness, community service, and aviation safety. The foundation's work, which included scholarships, outreach programs, and partnerships with schools and organizations, ensured that Riordan's legacy would live on, turning tragedy into a force for good. Her story inspired countless individuals to perform acts of kindness and to cherish the time they had with their loved ones. For the aviation industry, Flight 1380 was a turning point, a moment of reckoning that forced a re-evaluation of long-standing practices and assumptions. It was a reminder that safety is not a static achievement, but an ongoing process that requires constant vigilance and a willingness to learn from mistakes. The incident also highlighted the importance of collaboration and communication, both within the industry and between regulators, manufacturers, and airlines. By working together, these stakeholders were able to implement changes that made air travel safer for everyone. As the years passed, the story of Flight 1380 faded from the headlines, but its impact continued to be felt. The lessons learned from the incident became embedded in the fabric of the aviation industry, shaping the way aircraft were designed, maintained, and operated. The passengers and crew who lived through the ordeal carried its lessons with them, their lives forever changed by the experience. And for the broader public, the story served as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. In the end, The legacy of Flight 1380 is one of resilience, innovation, and the enduring pursuit of safety. It is a story that reminds us of the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity and to rise above tragedy. And though the events of that day will never be forgotten, they serve as a testament to the strength and determination of those who refuse to be defined by their darkest moments, but instead choose to forge a brighter future. Years after the emergency, landing of Southwest Airlines Flight 1380, the story of that fateful day had become a chapter in aviation history, a chapter marked by tragedy, heroism, and transformation. The incident, once a breaking news headline, had settled into the collective memory of the industry and the public, but its lessons continued to resonate. This final scene explores how the legacy of Flight 1380 shaped the future of aviation, the lives of those who were directly involved, and the broader cultural understanding of safety, resilience, and human connection. By the mid-2020s, the aviation industry had undergone significant changes, many of which could be traced back to the lessons learned from Flight 1380. The enhanced inspection protocols for CFM56 engines had become standard practice, and the development of more durable fan blades had significantly reduced the risk of engine failures. Newer aircraft models, such as the Boeing 737 MAX and the Airbus A320neo, incorporated advanced materials and design features that made them safer and more efficient. These innovations were a direct result of the industry's commitment to learning from past mistakes and prioritizing passenger safety above all else. The culture of safety within airlines had also evolved. Pilots and flight attendants now underwent more rigorous training, with a greater emphasis on handling emergencies like rapid decompression and engine failures. Simulations had become more realistic, incorporating virtual reality and other advanced technologies to prepare crews for the unexpected. Airlines also placed a stronger emphasis on mental health and resilience, recognizing that the psychological toll of such incidents could be just as significant as the physical challenges. Support systems were put in place to help crew members process traumatic experiences and return to work with confidence. For the passengers of Flight 1380, life had moved forward, but the memory of that day remained etched in their minds. Many had found ways to channel their experiences into positive action. Some became advocates for aviation safety, sharing their stories at industry conferences and working with organizations to promote best practices. Others focused on personal growth, using the incident as a catalyst to pursue new passions, strengthen relationships, or give back to their communities. The bond forged among the passengers during those harrowing moments had endured, with many staying in touch and supporting one another through life's ups and downs. Jennifer Reardon's legacy in particular continued to inspire. The Jennifer Reardon Memorial Foundation had grown into a powerful force for good, funding scholarships, community service projects, and initiatives aimed at promoting kindness and empathy. Each year, on the anniversary of the incident, the foundation hosted an event to honor Reardon's memory and celebrate the impact of her life. Her story had touched countless people, reminding them of the importance of compassion and the enduring power of the human spirit. Captain Tammie Jo Shults, whose calm and decisive actions had saved so many lives, had become a legend in the aviation world. Though she eventually retired from flying, her influence extended far beyond the cockpit. Shults dedicated her post-retirement years to mentoring the next generation of pilots, particularly women and minorities, encouraging them to pursue their dreams and break down barriers. Her memoir, Nerves of Steel, became a bestseller, offering readers a glimpse into her remarkable life and the lessons she had learned along the way. Shults' story was a testament to the power of perseverance, courage, and leadership, and her legacy continued to inspire aspiring aviators around the world. The broader public's perception of air travel had also shifted in the years since Flight 1380. While the incident had initially sparked fear and anxiety, it had also fostered a deeper appreciation for the skill and dedication of those who work. In aviation, passengers became more aware of the complexities of flying and the countless measures in place to ensure their safety. The incident also highlighted the importance of transparency and accountability, prompting airlines to communicate more openly with the public about safety protocols and potential risks. In the media, Flight 1380 had become a case study in crisis management and human resilience. Documentaries, books, and articles explored the incident from multiple angles, examining the technical failures, the heroic actions of the crew, and the emotional journeys of the passengers. These stories served as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. They also underscored the interconnectedness of humanity, showing how a single event could bring people together and inspire collective action. As the sun set on another day, the skies above Philadelphia International Airport were filled with the familiar sights and sounds of air travel. Planes took off and landed, their engines humming steadily, their passengers embarking on journeys near and far. Among them were individuals who had been directly or indirectly touched by the story of Flight 1380. Pilots who had trained under Tammie Jo Shults, passengers who had been inspired to pursue careers in aviation, and ordinary people who had been moved by the courage and resilience of those who had lived through the ordeal. The legacy of Flight 1380 was not just about what had been lost, but about what had been gained. It was a story of transformation, of how a moment of crisis had sparked a wave of change that made the world a little safer, a little kinder, and a little more connected. It was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable challenges, humanity has the capacity to rise above, to learn and to grow. And so, as the aircraft of today and tomorrow soared through the skies, they carried with them the lessons of Flight 1380, a testament to the enduring power of hope, courage, and the unyielding pursuit of a better future. The story of that day would never be forgotten, but it would also never define those who had lived through it. Instead, it would serve as a beacon, guiding the way forward and reminding us all of the strength that lies within each of us, waiting to be discovered when the moment calls.